I'm Michael Seitz, joined by Alberto Calderon, and as usual, this is Cal and Seitz. As usual, we have a jam-packed show for you guys today. NFL Week 15 action coming up. It's championship week in college football. College basketball is in full swing here. Conference play about to start for everybody, if it hasn't already. But first, we start real quick with the NHL. Today, it was reported that the NHL is having issues with Canadian health officials now and possibly not allowing the Canadian teams to actually play in Canada, even though they would be playing teams only in Canada. So this throws a wrench into the NHL's plans of having those new divisions that we talked about last week in their 56-game schedule. I see this possibly as a good thing, though, because now you could just play normal division, normal conference, normal playoffs, just move the Canadian teams down. I know it's not ideal, but you have to do what you have to do. What do you think about this?
So are you saying that, the Canadian teams just have to play an entire schedule without one home game? I mean, where would they play though? Just in a vacant NHL stadium?
You would think they would go somewhere that has an arena. Like Toronto would split with Buffalo, you would think. Like you could have Ottawa go down to Boston or New York or Philly or New Jersey, and you can have Montreal go to one of those cities. You would assume that either Winnipeg would go to Minneapolis. You could have Calgary and Edmonton go down to Vegas and Arizona possibly. And you could have Vancouver go to either somewhere in California. I know Portland's got the NBA arena, so you could always work
True.
something
Yeah,
there.
that's true.
It doesn't need to be an NHL city either. If it has an arena, a minor league arena even. So,
exactly. I mean, like you're right. I mean, this could lead to the chance where you could just play normal divisions, normal playoffs, normal seeding. It's tough. The NHL, even, back before the restart with the playoffs, Trudeau was definitely against having a host city as Toronto was trying to push for that, but he declined it. So I mean, I like the idea if the Canadian teams play in America, it'd be nice because then normal procedure as follows too, and just to set up next season too, because you don't want to mess with the schedule or anything like that.
they need to get through this season first.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, it'll be interesting with the first couple approved vaccines coming out to see if the NHL waits, because I know the MLB was thinking about waiting even for them to make sure all their players got the vaccine.
Yeah.
Those were the rumors out of there this week. Don't know how true those are. But the NHL just needs to focus on getting healthy, staying healthy, and getting on track for 2022. I just want hockey back personally.
So. Me too. Me too. They don't even have the schedule out yet. I mean, it's hard to because you have this news,
and then teams are practicing too. Is the thing. Like teams are having team practices. There are players reporting. They don't have to yet, but there are players reporting. Ice is being painted. I see it all over social media. Ice is being painted everywhere. So
that's good news, though.
Yeah, it is. It'll be interesting to see. They're being very quiet about it, which of course I don't like. But
yeah, they're being a little suspicious about just staying a little too quiet. So
they don't want to jump the gun. So
no.
All right, we say this every show. Hopefully, we'll have more news about the NHL in the next couple days, but who knows at this point? We might not. They might announce the schedule the day of. Who knows at this point? So we'll move on to college football championship week. We're gonna start Pac-12 tonight, Friday at 8. Oregon and number 13 USC. Terrible conference. Should be a decent game. USC is 3-point favorites. Real quickly, just give me a team.
I got USC. I don't think they'll cover though. It'll be a tight game. These teams are evenly matched. USC is what? They're like 12th now, 13th.
13.
It should be
to be 13.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they should be evenly matched. Pac-12 doesn't mean anything this year. Sadly,
Pac-12 should have let Colorado play USC.
Exactly. I think those are probably the two best teams.
Colorado's the second best team, maybe other than Washington, who Washington was supposed to play USC, but COVID within the Husky organization, their school, whatever you want to call it.
And then Pac-12 wants the Ohio State of the Pac-12, and they'll throw Oregon in there. So,
yep.
There it is.
I've got USC too. probably won't watch this game unless there's nothing else on, which very well might not be anything else on. So I could care less. This means absolutely nothing for the playoffs, in my opinion.
That's true. Very true.
All right, tomorrow at noon, overrated, too highly ranked Northwestern at number 14 takes on overrated, too highly ranked number 4 Ohio State at noon on Fox. Who you got?
As much as I don't want to say it, it's Ohio State. And as much as I don't want to see it, Ohio State is a football game away from being in the playoff if they win this game. Just
disgusting.
Take care. It's bad, man. And it's just, it starts with the Big Ten too, because, you made a rule. You have to stick with it. Why didn't you stick with it? Because that's just, it's not ethical at all. I'm a little upset at the Big Ten, or more than a little upset, more than a little. So Ohio State's gonna win this game. I think they'll cover the last time I saw
18.5.
Oh, it dropped. It was 20 this morning. I think they'll cover 18.5. It's gonna be a blowout.
I think it'll be close. I'll have to see what my college football guy tells me, my insider.
All right.
For college football, but I think they're going to be close to covering. They probably will. They're going to come out wanting to blow out Northwestern.
Oh, yeah.
I think the entire country, other than the state of Ohio, will be rooting for Northwestern in this game.
Yep.
I just don't see it, them winning. So Ohio State should take it easily. This one is not a championship game, but real quick, Texas A&M, number 5. They are playing. They're at Tennessee on the road. They're 14-point favorites. I've got Texas A&M in a blowout. They are going to go out there and beat them by like 35 or more to prove a point to the committee. What do you think?
Yeah, this is exactly why they scheduled this game, because this is the game where, like, hey, don't forget about me, committee. We're also playing this weekend, and so they want to, if they blow up Tennessee, and Ohio State is in a close matchup with Northwestern, you have to consider this.
And I heard today, just flipping around the sports channels this morning, that there were inner rumblings inside the committee. The rumors has it that people are thinking about Texas A&M in that exact same situation you just said.
Listen, if Alabama destroys Florida, and I think they will, if Ohio State's in a close game versus Northwestern, and Texas A&M takes care of business, Texas A&M's only loss is to Alabama.
Yep.
You have to, because they're in right now for me. They're way better.
Too. I don't think that they are a top 4 team. They're better than Ohio State, and they deserve it more than Ohio State at this
Exactly.
point.
It's such a down year for college football in general. But I think if we use football common sense, I think that Texas A&M, a 1-loss A&M, Alabama loss is better than a 5-0 Ohio State. It just makes no sense to me why Ohio State's right there, and why they even started at 3 at the beginning of the year.
And the thing for me here is, if the Alabama loss was a little bit closer than it was, it would be a lot harder. The Alabama loss was 52-24, so
yeah,
it got away there at the end, but still. I agree with you, of course, but like we said, Ohio State is the Big Ten and college football committee's baby, so they'll be in. All right, Dr. Pepper Big 12 championship game. The Oklahoma Sooners at number 10 overrated themselves, and the number 6 Iowa State Cyclones 7-2 versus 8-2. The number 10 Sooners are 6-point favorites on ABC at noon. I know I will probably be watching this game instead of Ohio State. Who we got?
Yeah, I pick Oklahoma in this game. I don't think they'll cover, but I like Oklahoma. It's tough to beat. Iowa State beat Oklahoma earlier in the year. It's tough to beat the same team twice in one year. I like Oklahoma. I don't think they'll cover. But even if Iowa State wins, even in blowout fashion, there's just so much that has to happen for them to get in. I don't see them getting in at all. I mean, Ohio State has to lose, A&M has to lose, and that's not going to.
I don't think they're going to get in, but this is going to be a real interesting game. I'm going to take the Cyclones here. I think they win a shootout, of course, because they're in the Big 12. I'm guessing like a 45-48, 51-45, 51-48, something along those lines, like way up there. Classic Big 12 shootout. Should be a good game. I've got the Cyclones. I'm just looking at this now. The Raging Cajuns and Chanticleer's game, Louisiana and Coastal Carolina got canceled.
Yeah, it got canceled last night. Yeah.
I didn't see that, dude. What's the reason?
COVID and Coastal.
I was really looking forward to that game.
Yeah, it got postponed.
That's like the second best game of the day tomorrow. That's a shame. That's a shame.
Yeah, last night, yeah.
We'll move on to the best game of the day tomorrow. The 9-1 Clemson Tigers looking to avenge themselves against the 10-0 Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Healthy Clemson, minus 10.5. Brian Kelly made some interesting comments today, and Dabo backed him up.
Really?
He said not necessarily backed him up, but kind of like pushed it that way, if you know what I mean.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not sure what Dabo's comments were exactly, but I heard they were along the same lines, but not as direct. But Dabo also just talks and talks and talks whenever he does his press conferences.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
If you didn't hear, Chip Kelly said that, or Brian Kelly, excuse me.
Brian Kelly.
Chip Kelly. Brian Kelly said that if the Notre Dame football players could not have their families in attendance, they wanted no part of this game or the college football playoff, which good riddance to you if that's the case. But
yeah.
I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that. The kids worked hard, but who knows at this point. But the game itself, you've got Clemson, who the first time was missing like 7 or 8 starters on both sides of the ball combined. You got Trevor Lawrence back, obviously. You got your secondary back. I think that Clemson will roll. I think it'll be close. Around halftime, Clemson will have like a touchdown lead, and they'll end up winning by 21-17 points. What do you think?
Yeah. Dabo was going to have his boys fired up for this game. Even if those same 8 players, even if Trevor Lawrence wasn't playing this game, if it was Uagalele,
I agree.
Dabo would have them fired up, ready to go this weekend. They'll still cover that. They'll still win by 21, 28 points. And the fact that they do have the best quarterback in college football doesn't help Notre Dame's case. I mean, I'm expecting a blowout here. I don't see Notre Dame keeping this game close. It'll shock me if they lose by 2 touchdowns only.
Okay.
So, and that could be a problem for the committee because you have these Brian Kelly comments. Then if he lays an egg with this game tomorrow, it's going to be tough to keep Notre Dame there, kind of.
Yeah.
You also have A&M. So you give a 1-loss A&M team to Alabama, or a 1-loss Notre Dame to Clemson?
We'll get into this in a minute. Let's finish the last 2 conference championships. The last 3 here. Very quickly, I don't know anything about either of these teams, but it's on the docket. So Boise State 5-1, number 24 San Jose State 6-0, Boise State 6.5-point favorites. I have no idea about any of these teams. I'm gonna pick 6-0 San Jose State just because. What do you got?
I got Boise State. They've been there,
all right.
Done it.
All right. Mountain West Championship. Who cares? Okay, next. Number 23 Tulsa and number 9 Cincinnati. Cincinnati has not played in a couple weeks. They're 14.5-point favorites against a Tulsa team who they were supposed to play last week. Also, I've got Cincy in this game. I think they're going to cover also. They're going to try and make a statement because who knows what the hell is going to happen.
Yeah, I got Cincy too. They'll cover. And, it's upsetting if you're a Cincy fan, if you're a Cincy football player, because you just keep dropping every week that you don't play. And it sucks. They could be 6th right now. They could be where Iowa State is, but
it should be where Iowa State is.
So the committee really screwed them over.
Yep. And then the SEC championship, number 1 Alabama Crimson Tide versus the number 7 Florida Gators at 8-2. Alabama 17-point favorites. They cover, no question about it. I'm not even second-guessing this game. Alabama is the best team in college football, and I do not think it's close.
No, I agree. I totally agree. They'll cover that 17. Was it 17, right? Last time? Yeah, 17. It's not going to be close. Florida, there was so much going into this game. And, that was a trap game with Florida. That was a perfect trap.
Absolutely.
Perfect. And they laid an egg. I mean, they were one shoe throw away from going to the SEC championship game. So,
all right. So let's give you a little hypothetical here. So Clemson beats the brakes off of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Ohio State wins. Texas A&M wins big. Okay. What I think the committee will do in this situation, you would have Alabama 1, obviously. 2 and 3 doesn't really matter. I think it would be Clemson 2 and Ohio State 3 and then Notre Dame 4.
Yeah.
That's what I think would happen. What I think should happen, though, is the 4 teams should be Alabama, A&M, Clemson, and Notre Dame. But now you're at a point where do you say, okay, we could have part 3 for Clemson, Notre Dame, in part 2 for Alabama A&M in the semis and the winners come together? Or do we look at, okay, we get SEC versus ACC, SEC versus ACC, winners play each other?
Ooh, that'd be interesting. The only reason they wouldn't do ACC, SEC is because the back-to-back weeks with Notre Dame and Alabama and Clemson.
I agree.
But I agree with you. What should happen if Ohio State wins, Texas A&M wins, and Notre Dame loses in a blowout should be Alabama, Clemson, Texas A&M, Notre Dame.
That's my number one dream scenario right now.
Exactly. Because yeah.
Go ahead.
I favor a one-loss A&M team to Alabama over a one-loss Notre Dame team to Clemson.
Yeah.
And Alabama's not even close to, the competition this year.
And the only thing that would make it a little iffy putting A&M ahead of Notre Dame is just because Notre Dame beat Clemson. They split.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I would look at. But
it's so tough, man. I mean, like, if Ohio State plays a close game this weekend, if they don't win by at least 4 touchdowns, the committee should definitely – they should already be, They should already be putting them in.
In reality, what do you think the committee's going to do? What are the top 4? What are the 2 semifinal matchups going to be?
Oh, it's going to be Alabama. 1 through Alabama 1, Clemson 2, Ohio State 3, Notre Dame 4. So it's going to be Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, Ohio State.
I wish I could play devil's advocate here, but I can't. Like, that's because everybody knows what the committee's going to do.
Exactly. Listen, the COVID obviously, really messed things up this year with the college football season. And even if there wasn't, it would have been a really interesting season because it looks like there's a lot of parity after Alabama.
Absolutely.
So, you would have had Cincinnati in the mix since week 1 all the way up until now. You would have had –
at this point, Coastal probably would have been up there too.
Exactly. They would have kept moving their way up. And you would have a better Georgia team. You would have had a better or more understanding Ohio State team.
A more focused Florida.
Exactly. There was so much parity this year, and it's a shame that it got taken away. So
absolutely.
On to the next year.
On Tuesday, the college football rankings, final rankings, where we know the top 4 will be announced Sunday afternoon for some reason. I don't think anybody will be watching that.
Yeah. Sunday.
I think everybody will be watching the NFL. It's a really stupid time placement like college football.
They do that twice. They do that noon.
I don't understand that.
But yeah, you should leave it till Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, so we'll know on Sunday afternoon. On Tuesday, we will be, of course, breaking that down, and we will also be giving our hypotheticals, as I mentioned last episode, for 8, 12, 16-team playoffs, which I think almost everybody now can agree we need some sort of expansion on these playoffs. So
minimum 8, at minimum.
At minimum. All right, let's go to the pros. In the NFL last night, Chargers over the Raiders in overtime. Thank you, Justin Herbert. Thank you, Michael Badgley. Over 51.5 hit. What do you think of this game?
Raiders, man.
They did this last year too.
They did this last year. They were they 7-4 or were they 7-5?
One of the two. They were in a playoff spot.
They were in a playoff spot and
fell
then they
apart.
And imagine if they lost to the Jets too. Then they would have been in a real pick. Then they would have been done. Then their season would have been completely over.
In reality, they should be 6-8 right now.
Exactly.
They should have lost to the Jets. The Jets purposely threw that game. I'm 100% convinced of that.
Oh, me too. And, the Raiders, this is the second season now where, you're supposed to – well, you were in a playoff position. And then, the last couple weeks you haven't performed. And like I said last episode, we should start taking a look at Gruden. We should start taking a look at Derek Carr. Obviously he didn't play much. He didn't play much of a role in this game because Mariota came in and he looked fine.
Mariota looked really good. We'll get to him in a second.
He looked better than Carr. All of a sudden. And so, all you need is a shot in this league. But the Raiders, you got to start looking at something because this is a bad loss. That basically ended their season last night. And, they should have punched the ball in at the end.
Yeah, I don't know what the heck happened there.
Running backs in the league, that second down play where he slipped really costed them. And, it's just so mind-boggling because the Raiders, they look good. and then they lay a stinker and they won against the Jets. They lose last week against Indianapolis, and now short week at home, and they lose to San Diego or LA. So, what are your thoughts on the Raiders?
So
this is bad.
Before I get to either team, this should have been a home game for the Las Vegas Chargers hosting the Oakland Raiders. I just want to say that first. Second off, the Raiders are a dumpster fire defensively.
Yeah.
Even though they just fired the defensive coordinator, especially without Arnett, their rookie corner.
Mm-hmm.
They need to figure something out. They got Max Crosby, and that's it right now that I know of that is any decent. But Marcus Mariota should be starting for a NFL football team next year. He should be. He could go in right now and help 9 or 10 franchises who don't have a quarterback currently either healthy or just don't have one, such as the Jets, Bengals, Giants, football team, Jaguars, and honestly, anybody in the NFC East right now. So,
yeah,
I mean,
right.
They're literally the Niners could use him. There are literally 8, 9, 10 teams. The Broncos that could use Marcus Mariota, who looked good last night, especially with his legs.
Yeah.
So he led them in rushing yards, 9 carries for 88 yards and a touchdown here. But also, Darren Waller he's something else. He's open everywhere. Everywhere. Yeah. But on the Chargers side, Herbert looked good to me last night. The Chargers receivers really stepped up with Allen and Williams not really doing much because they were on their limited snap count or whatever Lynn called it, who he needs fired anyway.
Yeah.
But the Chargers stuck with it. They got through Badgley's 2 misses there at the end of regulation, the 51 and the 46. Persevered after the almost 7-minute opening overtime field goal drive at the goal line stand, and were able to work the ball down the field, and I give them all the credit for that. The Chargers, if they get a defense and a new head coach, they're going to be a problem for years to come, them and the Chiefs. So,
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree with that. You think Herbert's going to win Rookie of the Year? Offensive Rookie of the Year, right?
Who would if he didn't? I think so.
The guy, Justin Jefferson in Minnesota. I mean, he's put together a nice. If
the Chargers had Tyrod Taylor starting, they would not have 5 wins, though. They'd have like 2. So.
Really? You think so? I mean, they'd run a different offense. They run a completely different.
Absolutely, but just Herbert is he's won them games. Like, he won them that game last night.
He did. That throw at the end was.
And he put them in position in regulation to win.
Listen. They could have won another 4 or 5 games this year if they didn't blow a second half lead.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We could be talking about the Chargers as a possible 7 or 8 win team right now and in the playoff hunt.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not that good yet, but
exactly.
They're there. They're like, I think they're now 6-18 in 1 possession games the last 2 years.
Oh, that's not good.
Or last 3 years or something. It's something crazy bad.
Oh man.
But they play so many 1 possession games. They lose so many of them. They won the last 2 weeks as 1 possession games though.
Yeah.
We will move on. We got Saturday night football. We're not going to talk about those. It's Bills, Broncos, and Panthers, Packers. Should be 2 wins for the Bills, and Packers should be, barring any crazy upsets. I'll just go through some games here. Bucks, Falcons in Atlanta. Niners, Cowboys in Dallas. That game flexed to 1 o'clock. Lions, Titans in Tennessee. Texans, Colts. Stop me when you want to talk about one, Alberto. Texans, Colts in Indy. Patriots, Dolphins in Miami. I think we should talk about this one here.
Talk about this one.
Miami 3-point favorites at home. That jumped from 1.5 earlier today. What do you think about this? Little stat before though. Belichick is something like 21-7 against rookie QBs in his coaching career.
Ooh, really?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Man.
You saw what he did to Herbert and the Chargers the other week.
That's 45-0. Oh man, they might eat up Tua alive on Sunday.
They might.
I mean, according to that trend, that doesn't surprise me with Belichick. He watches all the college film. That transfers over to the first couple of years in the NFL. According to that trend, I might take New England in this game. You said -3 Miami right now.
Yeah.
I might take New England in this game. Obviously, you never count out Belichick with whatever team he has. I mean, I like New England in this game. I think it can stifle Tua, because Tua's definitely, I don't know, you can definitely bother him in the pocket. You can definitely contain him. He's not the most mobile. He's mobile, but he's not the quickest guy.
Yeah.
You could definitely, beat him up if you contain him. So I like New England in this game, actually. I don't, I hate going against Miami because Brian Flores is such a good coach. He's turning into a mastermind himself defensively.
He's brilliant.
He really is. But I have to go with Belichick in this one in the Pats. A low-scoring game, maybe 20-13, 17-13.
I was just about to say I'm staying away from this game in terms of money line spread, but it's over under 41.5 right now. I might have to take the under on this. This, like you said, this could be a 2017, 13-17, 14-7, 14-10 kind of game.
Yeah.
Cam Newton in that offense is absolutely inept. They stink. Cam is terrible.
Yes.
Miami's defense is good too. But if New England's going to win this game, obviously you got to contain Tua in that offense, which isn't the greatest, but still you've seen flashes of it.
Yeah.
You got to run the ball with your running backs, not your quarterback, if you're New England. Because if there's one hole in Miami's very good defense, it is the running game right now. They have a great secondary. You just need to run the ball against the Dolphins to be successful. I do think the Patriots will win the game, and it's going to be close, but I would not be shocked if either team won. But I'm going to pick the Patriots, and I hate taking unders, but especially if this under at 41 right now moves to like 43 or 44,
take that.
I might jump all over it. It'll be interesting. So I'm on Belichick right now against the rookie QB, and the Dolphins, I think they're starting their slide. They're, like we said, 2 years ahead of schedule. They'll be fine, the Dolphins in the future.
I mean, this is a must-win for the Dolphins. I mean, this could be.
Oh yeah.
This is a season-altering game, because Baltimore, the way that they played.
Baltimore's going to win out, I think.
I think so. I think
Lamar.
I think Lamar and the crew are dangerous right now because they're
pissed off. They're pissed off.
Oh, they are. If Miami loses this game, Baltimore wins this weekend, and they play Jacksonville, they'll win that game. Miami slides out of that playoff spot. They hold the 7 over Baltimore. But Miami basically has to win out because Baltimore looks like they're gonna. So
Miami's schedule hosting the Patriots at the Raiders, who knows what Raiders team's gonna show up. The Raiders are still semi-competent, and then at the Bills. So not looking good for Miami. So all right, we'll move on to our next game. I think we should probably talk about this one. Somehow, with these records, this is a big game. The 6-7 Chicago Bears at the 6-7 Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are 3-point favorites. What do you think?
This game is in Minneapolis, obviously, right?
Yep, in Minneapolis.
Oh man, this is such a toss-up game.
Absolutely.
They're both one game out, if I remember, of the 7th spot in the NFC.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to go with Minnesota because Minnesota actually has looked like a good football team the last month. And Chicago, with the exception of last week, has not, or the last 2 weeks, has, they've been terrible. They've been bad. The 5 or 6 game skid that they had was ugly. I mean, they look like probably the second worst team in football behind the Jets during that time. And so I'll take Minnesota in this game. The Minnesota's actually looked like a pretty decent football team.
Yeah.
I don't have faith in Kirk Cousins ever. Especially if he needs to win one game, a big game like now this weekend. I'll take Minnesota in this game. You said -3?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm a betting man, I'm staying away from this game. Money line purposes.
Which we are betting men, but yeah, we're staying away from this one. But I think that Mitchell Trubisky cannot do what he did last week, 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Bears started the season 5-1, then they were 5-7. Now they're 6-7. So, that defense is good, but they're tired of carrying that team for the last 3 years. They're getting run ragged. You could see that against the Lions 2 weeks ago. Obviously, snapped back into their reality last week against Deshaun Watson. But I like the Vikings in this game. I'm probably, like you said, I'm probably going to stay away from this game. But I just think the Vikings are are a better team. They're more consistent. Over-under set at 46. I think I'm just staying away everywhere for sure on this game.
Oh, yeah.
But, they just need to figure out, is it Blair Walsh, their kicker? He's been terrible the last 2 weeks. Game might come down to it, so they're going to need him. That's for sure.
Yeah, didn't he miss 3 field goals last game against Tampa or something like that? Yeah. Something else, man.
All right, some other games this weekend. Jaguars, Ravens. Your Jets head out to L.A. to face the Rams, so a little tidbit. The Rams right now are minus 1945 last time I checked. That means to win $10, you would have to put $194.50 on the Rams. That's a little risk reward, Alberta. The Jets, on the other hand, were like plus 1,100, meaning if you put $10 on the Jets, you would win $110. So if you want to take a little small wager on your Jets, Alberto, you could get a big payout if they beat the Rams.
Oh, man, I can't with the Jets, man. I can't, bro.
All right, well, this game we were talking about on Tuesday as a possible playoff matchup. Neither of us realized it was actually happening. It's time to put your money where your mouth is, big man. Seahawks, Washington football team. Alex Smith is out of this game. Dwayne Haskins will start. Too bad, you still have to take them. Seattle's opened as 7-point favorites. They are down to 5. They opened at 7 with Alex Smith questionable. Alex Smith rolled out and it drops to 5. What's going on there?
Oh, wow, that's actually pretty unusual. I mean, I thought it would, go up to 10 or something like that.
Me too.
Oh, man. If Alex Smith was playing Tuesday, I was under the impression Alex Smith and Antonio Gibson were going to play. I don't know about Antonio Gibson yet. Listen, if Alex Smith and Antonio – listen, they're going to play each other in the playoffs, and I want them to.
I want them to also.
I think Washington – they're not going to win on Sunday, but I think if these two teams rematch in the playoffs, first round, that game's in Washington, Seattle's going to come all the way to the East Coast, which Russell Wilson's not bad on the East Coast. But if they have to play again, I got Washington, especially under the helm with Alex Smith, because he's just a game manager.
So you're taking Seattle this week, though?
Yeah, I'm going to have to take Seattle this week. I think they'll cover that
5.
What, 5? Yeah. 5. I'll take them to cover 5.
Okay, so you got Seattle this week, Washington down the road, which is a whole different animal.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is a toss-up for me just because I trust the Seahawks this much at this point. I also trust the football team didn't score a touchdown offensively last week. It's one of the best offenses in the league versus one of the best defenses in the league. And it's one of the worst offenses in the league against one of the worst defenses in the league.
Something's going to give.
I don't know, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And part of me can see Washington covering 5. Part of me can see it. If this line somehow miraculously jumps to 7 or higher, I think I'm going to take Washington with the points. I don't think they're going to win the game, but Washington plus 7 at home, 7 or higher, preferably 7.5, even better. But Washington plus 7 or higher at home against the Seahawks, Washington's feeling themselves right now. I think that could be a good backdoor cover for the football team here. Okay. So it'll be real interesting, but I got the Seahawks to win the game outright.
So what do you think about a first-round matchup with Alex Smith and Antonio Gibson? Same atmosphere, FedEx Field, first round, night game.
Oh, no, they'd put him in the afternoon.
Yeah, it'd be like a 4:30 game.
Well, now with the playoff setup, with the 3 games on Wild Card Weekend, you would have a 1, a 4:30, and an 8:30 now.
That's right.
I think they would probably end up being the 1 o'clock game.
There'll be fans. There'll definitely be fans there.
In Maryland?
I think they were earlier in the year, but they
were?
I think
just
so.
Family and friends. I don't think there are right now. But
all right, no fans. I still take Washington in that playoff game.
Okay, I was gonna say if we look at the matchups how they are right now, Arizona, New Orleans, Tampa and the Rams, and Seattle, Washington. Tampa and the Rams would 100% be the 8:30 game.
Yeah.
You would think that the Cardinals and Saints would draw more attention than Seattle, Washington, right?
Yeah, that'd be 4.
And then Seattle, Washington would be the 1, the early game.
Well, they'll mix and match it with the AFC and the NFC like they usually do.
Oh, they could do that too. I was just thinking playing them all.
Yeah.
They could
They
do
stay
that too.
the
So.
alignment. But
yeah, go ahead.
I see Washington beating Seattle. If Seattle wins the division, I see Washington beating the Rams in an absolute 13-10 slugfest.
Oh boy.
Slugfest.
Boy. So
I see it happening.
We also have to look at momentum here. And Washington's last 2 games were against the Panthers and Eagles. Those are 2 very winnable games for the football team. These are 2 games that could get the football team to 8 wins, something we never thought would happen with this division.
Yeah.
Now the Seahawks, their last 2 games, hosting the Rams, 4:25 on Fox next week, which I don't know what's the Sunday night game next week, but that should be flexed. Are you kidding me?
That should be. That's probably for the division.
Oh, Titans-Packers is Sunday night. They'll keep that. That's a good game. But Rams-Seahawks is for the division next week. And then after that, they go to Arizona to play San Francisco, who's playing the rest of their home games in Glendale or Scottsdale, wherever they're at. I think they're in Glendale, right?
Glendale, yeah.
So they're playing the rest of their home games in Arizona this year. And who knows what the heck they're going to come out looking like. So Seattle has a real chance to stumble into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And Washington has a real good chance to surge going into the playoffs, which they're already doing. So both of us have Seattle here in this game. Alberto kind of talked me into the playoff matchup for Washington here. We'll just have to see. I know we're both rooting for this matchup in the playoffs. We'll just have to see how it plays out. All right, some other games on tap. Eagles, Cardinals.
Let's go Jalen Hurts.
Big one.
Jalen
Hurts, Kyler Murray should be a good one. The game of the night or day, Chiefs, Saints. Somehow, some way, Drew Brees is playing.
That's right. You got announced this morning. Drew Brees is somehow playing with a collapsed lung. Kansas
City, still 3-point favorites. Nance and Romo will be in the Bayou to call this game. You would assume on CBS at 4:25. Who we got?
Oh, man, dude. I don't know how Brees responds to games when he's coming off an injury.
I couldn't tell you.
I do not like this for New Orleans. I think Kansas City could possibly beat them up in this game. I see it happening. I think the 3 is an easy cover. Very easy.
Okay.
Listen, the New Orleans defense is probably the second best in the league, or maybe third, maybe behind LA, Chicago.
New Orleans defense.
New Orleans defense is very good.
Okay.
They're very solid. But I don't think they contain Hill, Kelsey, Watkins, and Hardman all at the same time. I'm going to have to take Kansas City in a cover here. Big cover.
I think Kansas City – I think it's more likely that Kansas City blows them out, beats them by a couple possessions. I think is the most likely outcome of this game. But I'm just not sure. But with Taysom Hill as quarterback, I hammer them -3 Kansas City. But with Drew Brees at quarterback, the word is that he's looked unbelievably healthy this week. And they showed video of him warming up and throwing. He looked fine. He was putting some oomph behind the ball. I think it's going to go over 52.
Oh, yeah. Hammer that over.
I think it's going to go over 52. Oh, man. I could see this being like a San Francisco-New Orleans game we had last year down there. If you remember that one from late in the year last year, Jimmy G. and
that was a good game.
The Kittle Brees threw the ball all over the place. Kittle at the end with the catch to set up the field goal.
Yeah.
I'm staying away spread. I think the Chiefs are going to win. Take the over. That's what I say.
I mean, you want, as a Pittsburgh Steelers, you want New Orleans to win this game.
Oh, yeah.
You need them to win this game. Hey, look, I mean, Drew Brees can show up. He can look like 2009 Drew Brees and beat Mahomes. But
he doesn't even have to look like 2009 Drew Brees. He has to look like 2018 Drew Brees.
Even then, that's a MVP caliber Drew Brees. I mean, look, if they lose, Kansas City loses, they're 12-2. Pittsburgh wins, they're 12-2. Does Pittsburgh still hold that tiebreaker?
No, because of Buffalo.
The AFC loss.
Yeah, now if Kansas City ends up winning this game, but say they get upset at some point the next 2 weeks. I forget who they play next week, but week 17 it's the Chargers. If the Chargers go up there and upset them and both teams finish with 2 losses, then the Steelers are the number 1 because of AFC record. And that comes before common opponent. So, I mean, obviously I'll be rooting for the Saints this weekend. Okay. It would help a lot, just head-to-head wise or tiebreaker wise, whatever you want to call it.
Exactly.
But since they're an NFC team, not an AFC team, just like how Washington was an NFC team, not an AFC team.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. Like, if they both finish 14-2, Pittsburgh's NFC losses to Washington, Chiefs NFC losses to.
Then it goes to AFC conference record, which would be the same, and then that would go to a common opponent at some point down the line, and that's Buffalo, and the Chiefs have that. So.
There it is. Oh,
all right, one more game here. The Monday night game is Steelers-Bengals. Nobody cares about that game. Browns-Giants, Sunday night, flex to Sunday night. The Browns are 6.5-point favorites. I'm going to go first. Let down Cleveland Browns. They will be 9-5 after this game. The Giants will win. I don't care who's playing quarterback. I think they're better with Colt McCoy than Daniel Jones at this point. Giants need the win. They're at home. They got to get their run game going. As you saw last week, Cleveland could not stop anybody, period, especially the run. If they get Gallman going and who's Alfred Morris they have there? They get Morris and Gallman going. It's going to be a tough one. I think it's a letdown in New York. What do you got?
Letdown for Cleveland, you said?
Yes, letdown in New York for Cleveland.
Oh, man. Listen, we said last week that Baker was due for a stinker.
He didn't have it. He didn't have it.
After the Tennessee game, he showed up against Baltimore. Unfortunately, they lost, but that wasn't his fault. And now is he due for a stinker? I would have to agree with you. I think he's due for one. Sunday night game again. This time he's not home, in New York. I think the Giants are going to win this game, as much as I hate to say it. And, they're going to be tied, Washington and the Giants, both 6-8. And the Giants have that tiebreaker. They beat them twice this year. So I think what's the spread right now? 6.5.
I'm not going to touch it because there's also the very real possibility that the Giants just do what Giants do and stink. So
I'm not gonna touch that line. I got the Giants in this game. I have the Giants.
Giants next 2 games at Baltimore. That's not going to go good for them. And then hosting the Cowboys, which is a winnable game. They should have beat them this year. Dak got hurt in that game, but even when Dak was in, they were playing well. So this is a must-win for the Giants.
It is.
Because the way Washington's playing and who they play the next 2 weeks in the Panthers and the Eagles, this is almost a must-win for the Giants because they need to tie the Reds or the football team in record. They have to.
They have to. And they need to get it this week, too, because the next 2 weeks are unlikely. And this is probably their season right here. This is their season.
And Cleveland's next 2 weeks at the Jets, they just stay over there or whatever. They'll go back over there on Sunday. They should win that game. And then week 17 against Pittsburgh, who knows what scenarios are going to be playing out there. In a perfect world for the Browns, the Steelers fall one of these next 2 weeks, if not both, and they have a shot at the crown, AFC North crown. But with their loss last week, that looks unlikely, but who knows at this point.
So if Cleveland loses this week, I think Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's a Pittsburgh win or a Cleveland loss at this point. So they need.
So even before Monday night, even before Pittsburgh plays their game, they might lock up the division.
Maybe.
Oh, if Cleveland loses Sunday night.
Maybe. I do think the Steelers are going to win on Monday, though. But,
they'll blow them out the water.
I don't know about that. But,
really?
So, I have no idea what Steelers team's going to show up at this point. But, so, real quick, playoff update. We got about a minute or 2 left here before we should cut it off, around 45 minutes here. Chiefs at the 1. If playoffs started today, the Miami Dolphins have the tiebreak over Baltimore based on win percentage in conference games. They would come to Pittsburgh.
Good game.
Indianapolis would head to Buffalo. And Cleveland would go down for a rematch in Nashville. 3 good games there.
Those are good games.
In the NFC, the Packers possess the number 1 seed. Arizona will head to New Orleans. Who knows what's going to happen for New Orleans at that point? Tampa would head to the Rams for a rematch there,
Great
and
game.
Seattle would head to Washington as they are this week.
Ooh.
Very interesting. It'll be interesting to see how the playoff scenario for the number 7 seed plays out with Arizona, Minnesota, Chicago, and dare I say the Detroit Lions. No, I'm just kidding. They're still in it, though. They're technically still in it. 5-8. They have 3 tough games. They have the Titans, Buccaneers, and like Vikings or something. So they won't win a game. But be real interesting to see the Vikings with the Bears, Saints, and Lions left on their schedule. The Bears with the Vikings, Jaguars, and Packers left on their schedule. And the Cardinals with the Eagles, Niners, and Rams left on their schedule. So 4 if you're counting the Lions. Very tough schedules.
Yeah.
Last question, one word answer, would you be surprised to see a 7-9 team make the playoffs as a 7 seed?
In the NFC?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's going to happen. I think the 7 seed is going to be 8-8, but I wouldn't be surprised, if all 3 teams, lose the games that they're supposed to lose. So
I would be surprised. And I would be surprised because the Cardinals already have 7 wins. I don't think they lose out.
Yeah, they're not going to lose out. They'll win one more game.
All right, next show Tuesday. Of course, reaction to everything college football, NFL. Hopefully, like we said the last, I don't even know how many weeks. Hopefully, we have some NHL stuff. Maybe a big MLB signing. Who knows? That's all the time we got for tonight. Be sure to like and subscribe. Leave in the comments what you want to see in future videos. Thanks for the support. We'll see you next time.